We are starting 40 seconds early, guys, so anyone who is doing a countdown, I'm sorry to disappoint. My name is Kamila Kaidarov. I am on the Slack side of the world, formerly on actually the Salesforce side of the world. So I've been to every single TDX. I've been at Salesforce for 10 years, and I'm really excited to talk about the potential of Salesforce and Slack together. It's a continually evolving scenario. It's a continually evolving story that we're working on, and we're just really glad that all of you guys are along for the ride with us on this. So show of hands, how many of you in the audience have Slack or are thinking about using Slack? All right, I mean, that tailors my talk track a little bit, so thank you. I'm going to skip the usual forward-looking statement, but I will say thank you. I know that Slack and Salesforce is not a conversation that a lot of people have all the time. It's certainly, Slack's first time at TDX, talking to Salesforce developers, being in these conversations. So we just really want to say thank you for being along on this ride with us and for taking the time. We have a mission statement at Slack. Of course we do. As a collaborative company, it's all about making work and productivity simpler, pleasant, and more productive. So how do we take the elements of work that you have to do on a day-to-day basis, that you may not want to do on a day-to-day basis, like log activities or update records and things like that? How do we make it simpler? How do we make it something that is almost an afterthought, and really where you focus your day is talking to your colleagues, getting things done, moving deals, cases, et cetera, whatever you're working on, along. As we all know, we're here today, but hey, the last 2 years has been interesting, hasn't it? We've all been working at home, and what I find particularly intriguing is this new period that we're in. It's not quite back to the office 9 to 5. It's not quite entirely remote. There's definitely a lot of hybrid, and there's a lot of people that want to continue that. They want that flexibility. So, dun 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 dun, next title of the slide, flexibility is the expectation. Most employees are now, we've all heard about the Great Resignation, right? Most employees these days want to work for companies that offer them things like flexibility in when and where they work, transparency in what goes on in a company, in the organizations that they work in, and visibility into what they're doing and how that ties into company priorities. So we've been talking about the Digital HQ for roughly a year now at Slack. And some people go, well, what is the Digital HQ? Because it's not a headquarters, but you need something where you're finding the information. And we go, you're describing a Digital HQ and you don't even know it. So thank you for doing our jobs for us. A Digital HQ is all about putting people, information, and system information in one place so that you can work better together, right? You've got the context of the business coming in. You can make decisions faster because everyone's in one place, and instead of having a meeting with your stakeholder, you can actually just say, hey, this is the channel in which we have had the entire conversation. Do you want to join us and then approve whatever we're working on? Great. And it connects your systems. No one wants to log in to an ERP. No one wants to log in to any of the back-end systems where the approvals and procurement and order management happens. They just want the systems to work for them. So Slack is that central hub at the center of it all. If you think about it, it's really the middleware. Oh God, I hate that term. It's the middleman, also terrible. It's the engagement layer in between your system events. You closed a deal, your order is being managed, you have this DocuSign out, whatever have you, and the people. Hey, boss, I want to go on PTO. Will you approve that? So instead of trying to navigate email and systems and notifications in all the different places, you have one engagement layer where everyone's discussing around the context. And I do keep emphasizing that. The reason there's so much potential in Slack and Salesforce is not that it's just two systems working together, but it's the context of the systems enriching each other, right? Channels, as I mentioned, this is a better way to work for everyone. Instead of an email thread, this is my favorite scenario. You've got an email thread, you have 7 people on it, and right at the moment where you CC an 8th person to join in the conversation, the person at the front has responded, and now you've got 2 email threads going in different directions, and no one's on the same page about what they're talking about, right? We've all been there. Instead, you say, all right, I need to have a conversation with these 7 people. You spin up a direct message thread. You say, actually, we need 2 more. You turn that into a channel. Every message comes over. Everything that you've sent comes over. Great. We're now all on the same page. And actually, the onus is on you to catch up, and I don't have to set a meeting to get you up to speed on anything. Slack Connect is also really powerful. It's not just about the people in your company and in your organization. It's about how do they do their jobs better with all of the external folks that they might be communicating with. Is it a partner? Is it a customer that needs to be brought into the conversation? Is it a vendor? Is it another company entirely? Whatever it is, Slack Connect brings those 2 conversations together. Again, removing it from email. And look, we all get it. Email is going to be around for a while. Some people are on Google Workspace. Some people are on Outlook with their folders. There's myriads of ways of using email. But the fact is, when you're using things in Slack, that is creating tribal knowledge. That is creating a system of information that you can easily share, engage with. Our SVP of product today was saying that last night he was working on a presentation, and he had just done an AR summit on Monday. And he couldn't for the life of him find a particular slide. And he goes, well, it's it's 11. I don't want to bug anyone. I don't want to do that. So I just go to the TDX AR Summit channel. And lo and behold, there's a pinned post with all the decks. And I just download it from there. And there I go, right? We have partners in there as well. So, did I need to make a design change to that deck? Fantastic. Everyone's on the same page. Between channels and Slack Connect, you put everyone on one conversation. And then you don't need more meetings. And then you don't need the catch-up or the up-to-speed or the email thread. Now, if you take all of that digital HQ and you bring that into your system of record, again, that is really where the potential lies. Because now you're saying, hey, Bob, let's have a conversation. But let's have that conversation around this specific deal that I need your help to get across the line. Or let's say you're in the sales org and you've got all these executives that have these huge networks, but it's all in LinkedIn, and they never really talk to each other. All right, let's put them in a channel. Hey guys, I'm trying to reach out to so-and-so. Does anyone know them? Great, you have a fantastic response, and now your Rolodex. That was a terrible reference, but now your Rolodex is expanding from there. What you probably heard, or if you haven't, welcome to the news for Slack and Salesforce today, is we're trying to make it as easy as possible and as out-of-the-box value as possible for Salesforce and Slack to connect in any way you want. So if you're a developer and you say, I want to bring Einstein automation, or I want to bring workflows, or I want to bring my deal desk approvals, or my service cases, or I want to connect my ERP system to Slack. You can do all of that with the Salesforce platform for Slack tools that we're releasing. There are 2 tools in particular. Obviously, as I said, this is a journey. This is our first release. Bear with us, guys. But it's a really strong start, I think. The first tool is Flow in Slack. So we all know that if this, then that statement, this applies it to Salesforce and Slack. Okay, I've updated record X in Slack. That feeds back into Salesforce, and that takes the workflow actions in Salesforce. Or record Y in Salesforce has crossed a particular threshold, or an update has been made. Great, let's send an alert back into a particular Slack channel. Again, everyone's on the same page. The reason we really focused on tying these 2 together and making it more actionable, who's heard the term thick work and thin work? Great, 2 people. I will be speaking to the 2 of you tonight. Thick work is all about the actual meaty work, right? So building a marketing journey or creating a process of some kind. And thin work is, again, boss, I want approval on this. Or, hey, I just really need to quickly update my sales opportunity record. It is challenging for employees to do thin work that should be simple in a thick work, intense, robust system. So how do we take the thin work and make it pleasant? That's where Slack comes in. The thick work stays in Salesforce, the thin work goes into Slack, and everything that we're talking about in terms of the integrations that we're building is combining the 2 and automating the 2 to make it easier. So Flow in Slack is all about automation. This is your workflow builder. This is your if then that. Apex SDK for Slack. Catchy name? Probably not. Does it explain what it does? I hope so. Because for every single Salesforce developer that writes and knows Apex really well and knows the nuances and knows what to write in order for it to do what they want, Apex SDK takes all of that and automatically translates it into Slack Block Kit, which means that Salesforce developers can build any app they want in Salesforce language and deploy it to Slack. That takes Salesforce tools, that takes Salesforce automations, that takes Salesforce analytics, insights, anything like that, brings it over. You've got the same security, you've got the same UI that you would want to write for Slack, powered by Salesforce data. Again, bringing the two together so that you have the information that you need in Slack to have a conversation about what to do with that information and then take action on it. If you don't want to develop it yourself, cool, we totally get that. We've got 5 integrations out of the box ready to go. We are also GAing, I think, 14 new integrations in the summer release. So that'll be exciting. We've got Commerce Alerts, Datorama Insights, aka Marketing Intelligence for Slack, Trailhead, MuleSoft, and Tableau. In summer, we have Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, and Marketing Cloud coming out. We also have CRM Analytics. We have Financial Services. We have Health Cloud. We have tons of integrations coming out because, again, you shouldn't have to code anything to bring the two systems that you have together to talk to each other and make life easier, right? I do want to dig into the top 3, right? Sales, service, and marketing. Sales is all about, again, can't believe I'm saying this, but collaborative team selling. Is that a phrase that we've been talking about for a while? Yes. Is this a new flavor of looking at it? Yeah, I think so. Because if you think about it, I was in a meeting with a customer and a couple of our AEs, and the whole conversation turned into, our CEO gets 140 forecasting emails that arrive in his inbox every Friday. And he goes through all of them, and then if he doesn't get something, emails the person who's missed his forecasting email and has them do it on a Friday afternoon. I don't know anybody who would consider that a pleasant work experience. But instead, what if you could automate that? What if all of your forecast, your charts, your graphs, your expectations on the deals are summarized and pushed into a Slack channel? The CEO can sit there and say, great, I have everything I need here. And then so does the entire rest of the sales organization. It's not 140 different emails, it's one thread, it's one channel where all the information resides. And you can say, Bob, I don't have your forecast, and I will publicly shame you in this channel. I mean, do we need to do the public shaming? Probably not. But if you wanted to, you could. The important thing is that Bob and the person looking for after the forecast is in the same place. And if Bob is on PTO, it's not like Bob has to scramble for his email. Instead, because all of that context is already in Slack, his manager or his teammate can go in and say, hey, actually, I'm going to fill in for Bob, and I might not know exactly where every deal is, but I can give you an overall picture, and here you go. Again, that visibility that employees are looking for is very easily created when you're default open within a Slack universe. Things like an automatic renewal deal gets triggered into Slack. Great, now I take a look at that there instead of having to go into Salesforce and make edits and blah, blah, blah. Or I need to update my opportunity to a new stage or a new date, or I need my manager to take a look at my opportunity. I can do all of that within Slack. You can have a channel per account, you can have a channel per opportunity, and it truly becomes a conversation around information that is coming from Salesforce instead of, did you see that funny cat video? Because I think that's the best way to use Slack. I mean, don't get us wrong. We have a Slack Cats channel. It's delightful and a lovely breath of fresh air. But it's not just an instant message scenario, right? It's not just a quick chat. It now becomes a business conversation with an outcome that you can then take. Same thing for service. Let's say your customer writes in and it auto creates a Jira case. That Jira case creates an automatic channel in Slack. Your customer is working with you, with one person via Jira, while on the back end in Slack, your service agent is pulling in via a swarm the product manager and an engineer and maybe a customer success manager or the account director to mitigate the fire with a customer. All of that can happen in one place, in one thread in Slack. Again, information being pulled about the case from Salesforce and Jira into that channel, giving the context, updates back to the record. So like if you're tracking SLAs, if you want to determine how what your responsiveness is in Service Cloud, all of that can push back into Salesforce Service Cloud. As a marketer, I also find this very exciting, Digital HQ for marketing. We can actually discuss an entire marketing journey, design it, approve it, and activate it in one channel. And that means that saves me like 4 hours a week of meetings and getting the campaigns team on board and then getting the creative team on board and someone else on board. Because again, one conversation, one channel, one set of contextual information. Everyone takes a decision. And if I need my boss to chime in, I don't have to CC, I don't have to get them up to speed. I add my boss to the channel, call it a day, because she can go back and say, guys, that's not what we discussed, or yes, this works for me, and fantastic, we move on with our lives. So again, these 3 plus the other 10 plus the other 5 that we have, these are all out of the box. They're all free. They're all in the app, going to be in the app directory for Slack. So if you have the Salesforce side and you have the Slack side and you've got a bunch of free integrations that can help you bring the two together, it kind of behooves all of you to try them out, right? Let's see, does it work for our teams? Do we need to tweak it? Do we need to build something new? But they're all there for your consumption and your taking. I mean, I can go on and on, right? Which I'm going to do for another 3 minutes and 33 seconds. But honestly, I think that it comes down to putting information that you need to be acted on in a place where it's easy to act. And then pushing it back in for your analytics, your understanding of your business and your customer. If you have those two sides and you have people actually doing the small tasks that you're asking of them in a way that they don't mind, you get a more productive organization. On average, Slack saves 95 hours of an employee's time per year. And okay, 95 may not be the most amount of hours in anyone's lifetime, but 95 hours adds up. And if you then think about how many 95 hours plus 95 hours plus 95 hours, and are we losing deals because of that? Am I asking people to work more because they have to do all of this thick work and the thin work and the thick work systems? It's no one wants to end their year and say, yep, I could have gotten back a week of my life and taken a vacation, but instead I was logging things in a system. So the whole potential, the whole power of Salesforce plus Slack together is really bringing that together and establishing a better environment for sales teams, service teams, marketing teams, IT teams, analytics teams, really any team that has to have a conversation with each other to work with the system information that they need to make their decisions. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is my spiel. So if you have questions, I'll be here. And thank you so much for coming. Hopefully that was helpful.